Good morning, good morning, good morning, and afternoon. It is 10 o'clock on the West Coast. It is 12 o'clock Central Time and 1 o'clock Eastern Time. So good morning and afternoon, everyone. There is Philip, so I'm going to welcome him. Hello.
Am I sideways?
You are.
How do I fix that?
I don't
Do I
know.
do I have to
Oh,
stay
well,
this way?
yes. You're,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll do that.
Good morning.
Hi, how
How
are you?
are you?
Good. I'm just apparently getting it together over here. Struggling.
Just pulling it together.
Come on. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
I'm good. How are you? How is everybody? How's Brooks?
He's good. It's good to see your face.
You too.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone. I see a few people popping on. People we will be popping on throughout. But welcome for those who are here. This is Saturday mornings and afternoons, healing conversations through the lens of mental health. And this is all in part of Thrive Artist Group. And I just decided our website will be launching March 1st. So look out for that. A countdown will be coming.
Yay,
I
yay.
have Mr. Philip AJ Smithey
Yeah.
here with me. You know, I'm still not used to calling you AJ.
And I'm still adjusting the camera, so we're both figuring it out.
Oh, still adjusting the camera. All right. Well, when you are settled,
There
tell
we
me
go.
a little bit about yourself, Mr. Smithy, and a little bit about what you do as an artist.
Hi guys. I'm Philip Smithey. I'm an actor, originally from Texas. And I guess what do I do as an artist? I don't know. I act and stuff occasionally, and more often I sit on my couch watching the TV and playing the video games and try to, make stuff happen and that good old hustle that we're all so familiar with in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, and that's pretty honest because I think people often talk about the hustle and how much they're going and grinding, but a big part of it is just like sitting on the couch waiting on the next thing to come.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big part. That's 98% right there. Because that's what I'm doing later today, Nia.
Sitting on the couch.
Sitting on the couch, hanging out,
Well,
waiting
is
for the
your show
next.
still running?
Say that again?
Is your show still running?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm in Atlanta filming a show right now. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're still in Atlanta. I
I
knew
am.
you
I'm
were
in
telling.
Atlanta. I'll be here till April. It's really fun. We have a new season of Johnson on Bounce, also on the Brown Sugar app. We're excited. It's lucky when you're getting to do a season two of anything is really cool, just because you get to expand on a character. You're not just so focused on trying to establish like who they are. Like now you get to
Right.
play a little bit. So I'm excited for what's to come, getting to play with these characters and stuff.
Oh, that's so interesting. So, do you feel that with each season, because we're going to claim more and more seasons, but
Right?
do you see yourself kind of being able to grow as an actor through this process?
Oh my Lord. The growth that happens when you're doing it is incalculable. You are constantly like just evaluating. I mean, I don't know. I feel like everyone's like this. Like, I'm sure there's all these recordings of you dancing, right? And you probably look at back at those recordings and you're like,
Yeah.
or you're like, ooh. So I'm kind of the same way. I can't really watch myself a bunch of times. I can probably like check what I did once, and then, but I'm also like, oh, I could fix that, or I don't really like that. So even coming into the season, I was very much thinking, all right, I kind of have some goals that I would like to execute as far as, what kind of actor I am, like how I want my dramatic moments to be, how I want my comedic moments to be. Like there's growth because it's like trial and error. You're just constantly getting to trial and error things. And then of course, as you get more comfortable, then hopefully new discoveries happen. I think the most exciting thing for an artist to occur is when you surprise yourself, right? Like, have you ever just accidentally done a backflip
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Like, so when you surprise yourself as an artist and do something that you didn't think would be that you didn't know, and then you get to see that kind of creation happen spontaneously, that's the most thrilling. And I think that happens with when you're comfortable in your environment and over time and experience.
Yeah, for sure. I have a mentor, Don Axum from Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to Don.
Hey, Don.
But I was in her company for a couple of years, and she would always talk about how mistakes are gifts. So,
Yeah.
if we're rehearsing and something happens, she's like, "Hold on, let's maybe keep that. Let's see if we
Mm-hmm.
can work that in."
Mm-hmm.
So a big
You know
part
what?
of
That fart worked. Hold that fart in two more beats and let's use it at this point, at this exchange. And everyone notice it and go back. Yeah.
right. Everyone react to the
Everyone
yeah.
react to it.
And then it pulls you in and
And then you
yeah.
pull it in and then you wave, wave, wave.
Yes, exactly. So that's
That'd be
exactly
great.
what happened. How did you know?
Dawn is what a good teacher.
Yeah, she's amazing. But okay, so let's jump into this conversation on mental health. So,
Crazy.
so why is mental health
Bad choice of words.
important? Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah. We're gonna destigmatize
I'm so
in this
sorry.
conversation.
Uh, mental health is important. And you know what's funny? I I'm just trying to think. When's the last time I've openly spoken out about mental health and my mental health and how it affects me? And I can't really remember. But mental health is extremely important because I feel like it informs the experience that you have getting to live on this planet.
Mm,
It can be a tool. It's a double-edged sword because having mental health where you feel comfortable and nurtured and fulfilled can lead you to like a happy life. But on the other hand, if you look at some of the most prolific and influential people, a lot of where they come from are places of deeply unstable grounds and not a strong foundation of mental health. So it's strange how much it is a part of what we accomplish as
mm,
humans, good and bad. Like it's definitely it's probably one of the most effective things that we have that we don't even think about, right? Because we're always thinking about the
mm.
product, but not the journey, not like how we got there.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. That's so interesting you say that. Because I was writing down something that you said already. But I realized yesterday, looking through my Facebook memories, that yesterday 5 years ago, I had my very first panic attack.
Mm,
And, just to think about the journey of that process and just the highs and the lows and
for
mostly
sure.
lows and just, it's definitely a journey. But I love that you said mental health informs the experience you have on this planet.
Hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
huge.
And it was strange is like I'm already thinking like, okay, you had this panic attack 5 years ago, right? And that has put you on this trajectory. And that panic attack was because of whatever you were experiencing. And that has somehow put you on this trajectory to where you are now, which is, hosting a show talking about mental health, which is going to lead towards, your next hosting job. And suddenly, you're Oprah. And it's all
Right.
because of this experience that you had back then that was a negative experience but absolutely set you on this path
Mm-hmm.
towards achievement and towards what you wanted to do. So it's such a weird balance because often feel like I often feel like I'm okay but I'm not okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just very reflective of what humans are like.
Yeah. Yeah. Simply put, sometimes we're okay, sometimes we're not okay.
Yeah.
And we have to like, yes, I received that. Nia equals Oprah. Yes,
Nia
I
equals
I
Oprah.
I do receive that. So thank you. Thank you for putting that in the chat. But yeah, sometimes well, what I was going to say is in between those, it's okay and it's not okay is where we really find out like who we are,
Yeah.
and what we can conquer. And so it's really important to be in between the okay and not okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That gray zone of,
Hmm.
where are we at right now? Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So this is when I'm like getting personal. But do you
Oh,
have any personal experience with mental health?
I'm trying to think. So I don't know if I've ever. I'm trying to think if my own experience with mental health. Like I feel like I've always been, I don't know, on like this kind of edge, right? Where like I feel I feel healthy with myself, but I also have all these kind of negative thoughts at the same time. And they kind of, like I've said, they work in this weird balance. I certainly have like my large share portion of insecurities and things that I deal with and things that keep me up at night and wondering like about myself and my existence. And then for whatever reason, I kind of just get up and go eat a burger and watch a TV show after that and like laugh at something. So it's this weird yes, yes, and no. And it's weird because I think I'm always having issues with mental health, but maybe that's why I'm not like so cognizant of it, is because it's just an ongoing experience. Um, yeah, I don't know. Does that not answer the question? I feel like
No, no,
very
it's
bad at this
interesting.
so far.
It's interesting because I think, in having these conversations, it's a good realization that not everyone deals with anxiety or depression or, whatever PTSD or trauma,
For sure.
not everyone has that story. And I actually didn't realize I had that story until this process of going through therapy
Right.
and realizing all of this history that I have that was just my norm. So I didn't think it had affected me, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, because how we are is definitely a culmination of what we've experienced, and I I feel like, I mean, I could certainly list the experiences that have kind of like informed what I'm like. I'm thinking about my childhood and high school and college and everything else that I've kind of gone through that sticks with me and that I think about like today or like in my quiet moments. I feel like that's part of it too. Is what do you focus on in those kind of quiet moments, and what's the thing that's in the back of your mind, what's the thing that you're dealing or struggling with that like you can't quite shake. And I certainly have plenty of those things, but I guess in terms of how, like it said, like there's the thought and there's the reaction to the thought or what has come of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything that's ever stopped me from like functioning, right? Like I probably, if I've had an anxiety attack, I probably like forgot it or kept moving or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we're such incredibly complex characters that we cope in all these myriads of ways that
Mm-hmm.
we're not even aware of. It's like we're batteries and we're shifting power from one source to another constantly. Like if one lane gets cut off, we just find another lane and we just go from there, and we don't even realize that it's cut off because it switches so quickly. So
Yeah.
um I think as far as like depression, yes, I have been depressed. I've certainly had anxiety. I've had all of those experiences. And yeah, I don't know, like sometimes I'm just thinking, when those things do happen, I think my natural tendency is to like just shift. I'll just shift to
Mm.
something. There's always a shift that can occur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, what do you think gets you out so quickly of those moments? But shifting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of shifts that can happen. I think one of the shifts I became aware of is you shift the focus off of yourself. I remember I've done that, I don't know, a lot. I don't know if it's natural, but I find myself in the position where I'm often kind of like a guide or a mentor or like a teacher to like a lot of the people around me. And it could probably be because if I'm going through something, then like, oh, let me not think about me for a minute because this is not a good place. So let me like think about this other thing or have something else to
Mm-hmm.
focus on. And then
Mm-hmm.
in that practice, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't deal with Philip, but I can deal with this person or that person. And then, then I don't have to think about me or what I'm going through or be in that state because I'm just always busy. That's the thing. I'm kind of always busy. Like,
Mm.
I'm very much a find something to do person. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably also from the same place. So
Yeah.
that's where the shift comes from for sure.
Okay. Just get busy.
Yeah, my teacher, Brooks's teacher, said, "Move your ass, and your brain will follow." That was one of the biggest things that stuck with me in grad school, and it's very true. Like, if you're in the middle of doing something, your brain tends to start to focus on that thing rather than something else. So it's like right now, I could have, I don't know, like I could have a bunch of Legos here, and even though I'm talking to you, if I start building these Legos, then that's what I'm gonna start thinking about, right? Like, so you can make yourself move, right? You can make yourself like do things like, I don't know, go to the gym, draw, paint, write, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And your brain just starts to gravitate towards whatever that function is if you're like there long enough. And our bodies contain so much incredible muscle emotional memory that like in school they actually taught us that your emotions can reflect whatever your body's posture is doing, and I've always thought that was
Mm.
incredibly interesting that if you're sitting in like a position of you know of internalness, then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
start feeling that as opposed to if you're just standing with your chest out, chin high, then suddenly your body starts remembering what it feels like to be in those postures, and that starts to kind of creep in, which I've definitely used in like performances. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to feel like really, terrible right now. So let me like just kind of get into this space and deal with my breathing and it's so weird. Our bodies are like these weird tools that kind of like they're just so complex.
Yeah. Yeah. You said so much that I wanted to respond to.
Oh, cut me off. I'm sorry.
No, it was just so great. And I was like, yeah, and this, and yeah, and that, and yeah, and this. And then, yeah. So I think what you just said was great. And it looks like everybody is loving your move your ass and your brain will follow. And
Oh, really?
I definitely wrote that down as well. Yeah, I love that. Just the idea of forcing yourself almost to just shift. Oh, my connection is acting weird. I don't know if I still have you. Sorry, everyone, if you can still see me. Nope. Hi, everyone. Okay, it was blurry. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was me or if it was Philip, but hopefully he'll be popping back on soon. There he is.
Where was I?
You're such an actor.
I was in the void. There. That was great.
Oh my God.
Thank you. All right.
I
Where were we?
cannot do. That was hilarious.
I've been
Oh my
falling for 30 minutes.
God.
There it is.
But yeah, forcing yourself to do the thing, shifting, moving your ass, and your brain will follow. I just love all of those ideas. Yes, we are happy to see you back in One Piece from the void. Uh, but yeah, I love that. Let's just move on because this has been hilarious. So I just have to shift.
Let's
So,
shift.
So, how has your understanding of mental health changed? And I kind of want to make this question a little more specific because
Sure.
you're consistently working on a show. So, do you all like discuss mental health? Is that, a part of the conversation?
It is. It is. What I love about our show is that we are very much trying to explore the dynamic of just what it means to exist as, a black male in this country, and the fact that it's not a monolithic experience, and the very different things that we all go through. Mental health is certainly one of the strongest even kind of story points of one of our characters, Omar, played by Thomas Q. Jones, who is asked to go to therapy for his anger management and really kind of discuss like what he's going through. What's cool about that is when you see someone kind of like Thomas, who Thomas Q. Jones is a former NFL linebacker. He played in the league for 12 years. And so you're talking about a sport that entirely profits off of, aggression and toughness. And then seeing like what he's really like, gets to paint
Mm,
this very cool, more complex picture of him as a person, as opposed to just like this, kind of tough football player. So it's really
mm-hmm.
cool to kind of see that dynamic. And with my character, um, what I go through is very much a journey of what is my, where do I fit in this group of people? Where do I fit in my job, my career aspirations? And there's so much consideration of like, what am I feeling and thinking right now that happens? So it's really, really cool that we do that. And there's gonna be more conversations. We're actually going to like a panel to discuss mental health, like in March.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
you should be there.
I
And
know. This is
yeah,
practice for you. Little did
yeah,
we know.
I know. And so,
Now you'll have
yes,
some things already on your mind to discuss.
if any of it stays, if any of it sticks, I'm
Yeah, I mean, how
probably just
many
gonna be,
episodes do you have to shoot before then?
yeah, yeah. But yes, yeah, we definitely talk about mental health on the show. It's very important. And I love that we're living in a time where this topic is really at the forefront, like, and that, of course, strangely enough, these blessings that we're getting to have these discussions and to have these kind of revolutions in terms of thought stem from the tragedy that we've gone through. The pandemic is the reason why this has been brought to the forefront. The pandemic is the reason why there was so much attention and focus on, Black Lives Matter and on George Floyd. Like if everything was just business as usual, then things would have just been put to the wayside like they have traditionally been for so long. But now suddenly everyone is focused on where they're at, and that is a
Mm,
really useful thing. It's been an incredibly, you know terrible last couple of years, but this is from that chaos. This discussion has happened, and this has been necessary. This discussion has been needed.
you're so right. I think COVID brought, well, I'll speak for me personally. COVID really had some really weird blessings involved
Weird
in that whole
blessings.
time. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but this is this is in the midst of all of this just tragedy and turmoil and fear and
Mhm.
scarcity. I i felt fully blessed and taken care of, and things were moving forward and happening for me.
Mm.
So it was interesting, and I've talked to a few people that kind of have those same stories.
Yeah.
And yeah, and everything became pronouns, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And we were all forced to shift. We couldn't do what we were normally doing. We had to move and adapt. It was just it's crazy, and we're still adapting. I'm very curious to see what comes next, because like right now the pendulum has begun to start kind of swinging, and we hopefully will really bear some incredible fruits from what's happened today. So I'm excited to see what's in the next 5 years, 10 years, because it's made getting to have these discussions and getting to focus on these things that are such a part of our lives is only going to enrich us and make things better. So imagine the stories that are going to be told, or this if we're imagine the dances, the choreography, the art, the movies, the TV that's going to be made from people that are so much more in tune with themselves than they've traditionally been, right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be nuts. Even in terms of our daily lives, right? The food that you eat. No one's like how 20 years ago, how much focus was it on like how our food, affected us
Hmm.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like now, having these different thoughts is just going to enrich in so many ways that we probably haven't even perceived yet.
Yeah. Wow. It's always, like you said earlier, we're okay, and then we're not okay, and
Yeah,
then we're okay again.
yeah.
So,
What did you know when they say the tightrope, right? I love
mhm,
loving that song. When
mhm.
I'm high or low. Yeah, it's very much
You're
tightrope
gonna
sort of
control.
situation.
Yeah, now that song is in my head. Shout out to
Good.
Janelle Monae. We love you, girl.
Hey
Okay.
Nell Nell. Hey JJ.
No.
Hey Nay Nay.
No, JJ.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know her. She does not know me.
She does not know me either.
We
Okay,
met
so this is,
though, actually.
oh, really?
Yeah, in at Morehouse. She wasn't a thing yet.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
whole Wonderland crew.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
that was
people
fun.
knew her because of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We were in a
if
cool
sh
era of Atlanta.
we were. Remember when Trey Songz came to do our homecoming?
Yes.
Yeah, and I went to the concert and he's just like standing there like in his underwear on the stage rubbing his junk, and I was like, is this concert for everybody?
For everybody.
This feels like a personal concert.
That's so funny. Like, are we all supposed
Are
to
we
be
all
here
invited to
right
this? This
now?
seems like a private event.
That's hilarious. So I feel like you've kind of answered my next question about because my next question is about the artistic community being open to mental health.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely think that, like you said, we've started to see more stories. I mean, it's happening in your show.
Hmm.
People are putting forth personal experiences in these characters that we are, attached to. And I
Yeah.
think it just makes it so much real because, as we know, art imitates life and vice versa. So,
We're seeing this kind of renaissance because if you think about in the 90s when UPN existed, right? And you had all these shows focused on black experiences, and then that channel went away, and now we're kind of having this like resurgence of these stories told. You have the Insecure and Sisters and Johnson, and now we have Grand Crew, and we have Abbott Elementary. And it's really, if you think about it, it's because of what we're going through right now. It's because people are witness to the dynamic of our stories, and starting to be in tune with our emotional journeys, because that was really the thing of it, is people were so concerned that sharing stories about black experiences is such a niche market. Why would that be something that could appeal to a mass audience? And that's just understanding that's not true, because in a sense they've somewhat kind of opened their hearts to what's going on, and they're
right.
starting to make that emotional connection with us, and with this wide array of experiences. And it's a good thing. And there's also money in that, because stories and films are about getting an audience to connect, and they realize that we connect to everybody.
Yeah. I definitely think that seeing these stories on screen, on Instagram, having these conversations is really validating for a lot of people. I think uh, we all know, like, when you don't see yourself represented, then you just don't feel like you fit in, or there's
Right.
something wrong with you, or you're abnormal, or whatever it may be. So I think that representation is really helping people to have the conversation and then even go further and go out and seek help. If we see these characters on television going to therapy,
Yeah.
then maybe the idea of therapy isn't so tough to wrap your mind around because we're seeing it being acted out.
We're
So,
seeing
yeah,
that. And not only that, but have you noticed how in a lot of TV shows now, if there is a subject matter that deals with, like, let's say, thoughts of depression or suicide, how at the end of these episodes they're trying to give information. So it's not just going to tell you that story, but it's going to say, like, hey, if this is you, this is how you reach out. Like, this is what we're
right.
talking about. There's outlets, there's communities, there's people to talk to about these things. I don't remember that being the norm, but I feel like I'm seeing that all the time now, is like, hey, this is something that we are aware of that's happening, and this show isn't just purely for entertainment. Like, this is a place to get help.
Yeah.
So it's very, very cool that it's becoming part of the norm
Yeah.
now.
It's almost like the shows are resources in themselves.
Yes, which was always meant to be the case. It's like you're supposed to see yourself reflected in these stories. That can only happen if there's diversity within them. And now it's getting better. It's not like there's still so far to go. I think if you look at the scale, it's probably still, I don't know. I think I looked at something the other day, 66% of all roles on TV are men. And then of that, and female, uh, within the female lead roles, it's only now that the age range has kind of changed, because it used to be like, oh, if you're a female on TV, you're going to be within like between 20 to 30. And now there's also becoming this new resurgence of like women in older ages getting to be like part of these more juicy, dominant roles and tell their stories. Um,
Mm,
it's weird because it's this great domino effect of happening of storytelling, and and it's really all connected to what we're going through collectively.
yeah. Wow. So 60, you said 66 or 67%
To like two
is
thirds
male.
percent of the roles on TV, I think, are still men. Yeah,
Wow.
isn't that weird?
It is. And I
Because
guess,
I'm like, that can't be true, and then I'm like, oh well, let me take a show. What's a show I really like right now?
mhm.
Succession. Yep, that works there. Let's see, Johnson. Oh shit. Oops. Yes. Like it. I think if you probably break it down, like it's probably pretty accurate
Yeah.
for now.
There's a show, I'm not gonna, or a documentary, I'm not gonna remember the name of it. It's on Netflix. It's about women in the industry,
Mm.
and how difficult it was for them. And like those female directors where there's only one or two of them that exist,
Yeah.
or so I think we're definitely talking a little bit more about this not being okay. I think it's been our norm for so long that two-thirds of the men of people on television are men, and
Yeah.
that's just the way it is.
Can you picture like a lot of the shows and movies that are out now are of course cognizant of like this change that's occurring, but then you watch like a movie or something from like 2000 or 95 or something like that, and so much of the writing is like, really?
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh, I don't know about that. It's it's crazy because this is not long ago, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
like within
recent.
our lifetime
Oh yeah,
that.
like, oh wait a second. That's the movie I thought was amazing. Like it's a strange thing, but it's so crazy how quickly that awareness is happening.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just gonna,
Yeah.
like we said, it's just gonna make things better. It's good, like, because when we're forced to shift and be more clever or to be more thoughtful, right? Like, what story has ever been diminished because person thought less, or because someone
mm,
was like, oh, let me not consider like all the different elements of telling this story. Let me just go from this one perspective. It enriches everything. Like,
Mm,
I think it's growing pains though, because it's going to make it more difficult at
yeah.
first, but there's going to be a development of our consciousness that allows us to be thinking more universally, more globally, more like humanitarian relationful. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So storytelling is on the brink of its own shift.
Oh yeah. Most certainly. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we'll be looking out for that for sure. Now we have that awareness, so we should be looking for it. And we should
Yeah.
be looking for that representation and those stories and, you
Demanding
know,
it, writing it. I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
everyone can make their own stuff now. Like, this could be a series. I think I remember Brooks, I think, had an idea about like a show that all takes place in like one room, right? Which is like
Mm,
interesting because it's super diverse. You can do anything with that, right? Anything can happen in this room. But even if we wanted to, we could probably make like a scripted show right now that deals with this very thing, and it's going to grow its audience because now we're hungry for it. It's not just that we're seeing more of it. It's that people are hungry for this because they know it's possible. They know it's out there, and everyone has something that can cater to their taste or what their experience is. They just have to find
right.
it, and that's the
Yeah.
last challenge, is making it accessible to everybody, where they don't have to like try so hard to look for it. Because right now it's like, oh, I have, Netflix and I have all these other things, and it's too hard. It's overwhelming. But we'll figure that out too at some point. Like, there's going to be a way in which we don't feel so strained by the search.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really big one because even someone that is has worked in both mental health and the arts, it is hard to find resources. It's hard. I mean, sometimes it can be hard to find a good audition, you know.
Yeah.
So to actually to actually find like a resource that is going to be helpful is sometimes difficult. So we definitely need to make things more accessible. But I just wonder how to do that. Like even with Thrive, I'm like, how do I get it out there? How do I make it accessible? How do I
Right.
let people know about this, because it's, and I hate to get into this, but we're now in that day and time where you have to like look a certain way or just present as a certain way
Mm.
to get an audience.
Well, what's interesting is, actually I was talking about how to get your story out there with a friend recently, and the thing that you build it, which you are already building it, but the other thing is, it's like there's someone out there who is exactly your vibe, who
Hmm.
would totally jive with what you're doing, who you just need to like essentially just introduce yourself to. So, like, for example, and I'm using you as an example. Let's say that you're just trying to, blow this thing up. Then all you do is you present it to that other person that's also, doing this, and you just kind of say, "Hey, this is me. This is my art," and they're all like, "Holy crap! I love that art because I am about that life also." And then you just kind of like work together to grow. I mean, there's a whole bunch of, I don't know, off the. I'm thinking of like two different people who also are very much active in the mental health community online, and I'd be, my first thing would be like tagging them and everything, and just like asking them to like chat with me and have me on their thing so I can talk about my
Mm.
thing. And why wouldn't they do it? Because they should want, if they are jamming with you, then they should want this for all, and we're all supposed to be working together anyway. Every time people ask me like, "Hey, can I like collab with you on this thing?" I'm usually like, "Well, yeah. I mean, not busy, then why not?" Like, we're all literally trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So we might as well
Help
help.
each other out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really big thing that, um, well, I'll speak about the dancer world.
Mm.
It's, they're often, I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. But there
What's
is
the
a
wrong way to
certain
say
level there's a certain level of like competition and
it?
not
Sure.
wanting people to get beyond where they are.
That's a, yeah. I feel like, is that an unfortunate side effect of just like, I guess, because there's only so many spots, there's only so many blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
I mean, if you think about it, like a dancer, you want to be a dancer. Let's say you want to dance for some of the biggest artists, in the world. You want to be Beyonce's backup. Well,
Hmm.
she's only got, she got 12 spots, right? And there's not two Beyonces. There's not 12 Beyonce. Like,
Yeah,
so it sucks because there's a lot of you and you're all incredibly talented, but for some reason you require this other thing to really be showcased at your highest level, which is a very rare thing, right? Like an actor doesn't have that. An actor doesn't have to like wait for, you know, a singer to be there
right.
so they can actually act. So they can act alone and still get the most mass audience. The dancers, like usually they're an accompaniment to
Right.
a greater performance, and
Right.
thus the competition element makes a lot of sense, and that's
Hmm.
unfortunate. But also that doesn't have to be the case either. I guess that's why um, things like the dance competitions on television have mass marketing, have mass audiences. But I'm trying to think like, wow, what if there was a concert that was just like, it's not Beyonce, it's just the dancers, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. They're starting to get those out there for sure because of these competition shows.
Right.
Because now dancers are becoming kind of like famous on their own right, and they
Yep.
don't have to become known for being behind Beyonce.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. It's like
Yeah.
sports teams, like, because also sports,
True.
you guys, everyone works together. And in sports, there's a standout athlete, but they all are kind of working together. I feel like dance, sometimes there could be like a standout. There could be a LeBron dancer, but then
Right.
they're all great players,
Right.
and everyone wants to
Yeah.
see that team, like a I don't know, Jabberwockies or whatever kind of groups.
Or Camille Brown. I don't know if anyone is
Yes,
familiar with her, but she's my favorite choreographer ever in life.
Camille Brown.
Yes, I love
Mm.
Camille, and she's such an awesome person. We're not talking about mental health at all, but
It's all
yeah,
connected.
it's all
The human
connected.
experience.
Back to the human experience. So, how does the subject of mental health inform the work that you do? I guess we've already kind of talked about this, but we can go deeper.
Sure. Well, let's see. I don't know. I've always wanted to be an actor. I kind of made that decision super early, but the focus on doing it came from different places. At first, it was just because I thought it was cool, and I was a kid, and then it was because it was my coping mechanism when my father passed away, and that was like all through high school, and that was like how I would kind of deal with everything. And then the passion came like in college and grad school, and I'm learning like the science and the technique and everything behind it. Um, and now it's about existence, right? Like, because my thought
Mm,
is, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little far along in the tooth to be like trying to start over. I don't want to. So now it's kind of do or die. And I'm thinking,
mm,
hey, I have to make this work. And if I don't make this work, it feels like a life or death sort of situation. And then my thought is like, well, if I don't do this, then who the hell am I? Sort of thing. Um,
mm,
and there's a lot of good and bad things that come from that. There's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself, and a lot of actors do. Like, you put this incredible amount of like needing to succeed and feeling that competitive spirit and feeling all that stuff. But then at the same time, some of the most successful actors that you know kind of live in this space of like not taking themselves too seriously. And that's what makes them brilliant, is because they have the freedom to just play as like children, and then to know like that at the end of the day it's okay, right? So we live in
Mm-hmm.
this really weird place where to be successful you have to let the stakes be high, because you have to give it your absolute everything, and that takes a huge mental toll on you when you're living that existence. But at the same time, you have to be able to like be like, nothing matters, it's totally fine, and like play, because that's what's going to give you your best performance. It's this strange duality that we all are constantly living. What is he doing? What's he saying?
I had no idea he left the apartment, so I'm hearing the door and I'm thinking, is someone breaking into our apartment while I'm on this interview?
There he is.
So I was like freaking out. But yeah, here he is. It's everyone, I'm safe. It's
Yeah,
only Brooks.
yeah.
I was like,
That's it's
I
my
was trying
best.
to be,
It's my best man right there.
yeah, I was trying to be focused, but man,
Yeah.
okay.
But I guess that's really, I mean, that's really how it comes into play now, is the stakes. So, I mean, I'm always thinking, who am I? What am I going to do with myself? Like, that's kind of
Hmm.
just a constant daily thing. And you have to, I don't know. I don't know if it maybe it isn't necessary to be thinking like, oh my gosh, this is life or death. But I can only speak from my experience. Like, so far, so far I've done pretty well by letting this be very, very important, and be thinking about it
Hmm.
a lot, and to be
Hmm.
thinking about myself, and be thinking about my improvement, and to be examining like myself in that
Hmm.
very real, raw capacity. Um, but once I'm on set, like it's just play, and it just feels free. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah. So it's well, it's interesting because as I guess I'm a
Brooks
different
broken with the
kind,
key.
yeah. I guess I'm a different kind of person in that dance has been my identity literally my whole life.
Right.
So I had to go through the experience of when I got to New York, I was like, I don't really have a desire to perform. Like I want to teach, I want to choreograph, I want to produce, you know.
Yeah.
So so I had a really like over a few years a big struggle because I had lost my identity.
Mm.
And I think oftentimes we identify so much with who we are as artists that we don't allow ourselves to see the full gamut of who we are, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was my experience. But I've noticed for some people doing like what you're explaining, like going full in, saying this is my identity, this is life or death, this has to work, no other option. You know, I because I kind of see that in Brooks,
Mm.
you
Of
know,
course, absolutely.
and so I admired that, but I realized as an artist, it's something that I don't
I, uh, uh, I think I don't know if I made this joke with Brooks a long time ago, but I was like, man, like with my student loans and stuff, I'm either going to make it or I'm going to die in debt.
have. There are one or two
One or
options.
two options: either I die broke and homeless in the street, or I make it. Like, yeah, no, I get that. It's it's a weird balance, you know, because I think we have to enjoy the journey, otherwise we'll break. Like those buildings, right? They have to sway with the wind a little bit, as strong as they are. There has to be some give there. There has to be like some flexibility, and if you are inflexible, then it'll break you, unless you're just one of those incredibly stupidly insanely like lucky people that never has really struggled with trying to get to where you want to be in your art. But I just don't, that's just so irregular that like for most of us it's going to be what people call the 20-year overnight success, you know, suddenly
Hmm.
20 years in and people are like, oh, you're that person. And you're all like, man, you brand new. And you're like, no,
No.
like people think Regina King is new. People think Regina King is new.
Really?
All people that had people, did you see her Saturday Night Live episode?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so she's had this monologue where she's like, "I'm Regina King. You probably know me from this monologue or something." Like because she's finally getting her flowers, but
Yeah.
was her mass audience there necessarily? Like getting to where she's always dreamed has taken this long, right?
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible focus and just incredible drive and spirit. and
Yeah.
you, and even like some of the actors, which to us, to us who are paying attention, we notice
Mhm.
a lot of people, right? Like we'll notice like some of the up and comers who are like just doing this show, this thing. There's an actress that right now is only in commercials, and because I pay very close attention, she's only in commercials. I don't know her name, but I guarantee you she's going to be freaking huge. I'm calling it
Mm.
now. And like, if I find the commercial, I will send it to you. But I'm like, dude, this lady has it. And right now, no one's paying attention because it's just a commercial and she's brand
Commercial.
new. But the next thing she's
Mhm.
going to be doing like little bit parts here, bit parts there, and then she's going to freaking blow up. I'm like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and it's going to be a journey.
I know
But
so many people, like so many actors that I like can't wait for the world to see, you know.
thank you,
Um,
Stan.
thanks, Dan. You
Stan is
are so
he's amazing. He's an
talented.
incredible writer, director. He's directed me in many shows.
Well, Stan,
I'm
I'll have to talk to you.
Yes, I'm trying to get back to LA so I can work with this man again.
Oh, cool. All right. Shout out to Stan. We
Shout
giving
out
a
to
lot of
Stan.
shout outs today. So
Shout
shout
out to
out to
Brian
Stan.
Smith.
Yes, Mr.
Yes. Shout out to
Smith.
Ryan March.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody who's watching right now. I think
Shout
Taryn was
out
here
to
earlier. Shout out
everyone.
to Taryn.
Look at Stan. He said I would love to.
Huzzah.
Yes. All right. So, what were we talking about? Let's talk about this.
So,
So, what are some things that you do to maintain your mental health?
so I'm kind of always moving around, like, and I don't know if, like I kind of told you, I stay super busy a lot, but right
Mm.
now, um I think one of my things is I will one, there's of course my incredible wife who keeps me sane. Ashley. Uh she is kind of like she's my rock, and she's definitely the person that keeps me like okay when I'm not okay. And she's highly creative. She's more creative than me, so she always finds something for us to like do or explore, because if I don't know what to do, I'm literally just gonna sit on the couch and like shut down like a robot and just like unplug. But
That's me.
she's like, no, there's a thing here. We can go have fun. So I'll go. I'll just find other stuff to explore and stuff to do. I'm kind of never bored though. I don't know if that's a superpower,
Mm.
but I do feel like if I do have a superpower, it's not. I don't get bored. I always figure out something to get into.
Yeah. You know, I'm kind of the same thing. They're very, like, every once in a while, I'll have a bout of boredom where I'm like, I need something to do. But most of the times, I'm just like at peace.
Yeah.
And I guess we're the same in that, I can just sit at home and be completely fine,
Yeah.
But I think Brooks is more like, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's
Oh
do this.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Brooks is, yeah. I remember, I'm gonna say this in front of everybody. When we were living together, um, Brooks was always finding like where the party was at. And by the way, this is in Connecticut where there is no party.
where
There's
there's
nothing.
no
There
party.
was no party. And Brooks found it. He, he found some folks. He found something going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. No, there's
Yeah.
it's I'm kind of like I can kind of chill. Like I don't know. I'm a video gamer. I watch everything on TV. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen everything, and I
Mm-hmm.
write a lot. I'm writing a thing now, and right now because of we get to live in this great time where we can always be creating stuff. So it's like I'm, making sketches or I just bought a bunch of wigs for no reason. I'm just like, let me figure out if I feel like making up some characters. Let me just do that. And then of course there's always people that like are around who are doing their thing want to who want to collaborate, right? Like I think being just kind of open and kind of some doors will just kind of open up. Like if someone calls you and is like, "Hey, I'm on a golf course in Arizona and I need someone to hold this whiteboard because we're going to take pictures of these spiders doing 360s with some gorilla paint," then you just be like, "All right, sure, I'll be there in like 2 hours." Like just kind of
Yeah.
just say yes to a bunch of different experiences that can happen because you don't know what's next. Like this summer, I'm very much hoping to do a play in the middle of Illinois with my friend from grad school.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and and he wants to do Macbeth, and he just called me. He's like, "I just got to do Macbeth. I just have to." And I'm like, I love it. I love when someone just has to do something because
Mhm.
that's when you know, like, oh, this stuff's gonna sing. If they really can't help themselves, he has to do Macbeth. So I'm like, if you have to do it, then I'll do it with you. It's gonna be fun.
Nice. I
So
love
yeah,
that.
just move your ass. Your brain will follow.
All right. Say yes and find things to explore. Um, so last thing, what can you say to motivate others, to let them know like, hey, you're not alone, just to give everybody a little push.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I can say anything more than I've said. Um, you're, it's okay. You're not alone. And what else did you say? I'm just kidding. Uh,
Motivation.
motivation. No,
Mm-hmm.
but people, they're not alone. Nobody is experiencing anything that someone hasn't experienced before. I think
Mm,
having perspective is certainly an incredible tool, and being willing to speak out, like say what it is that you're thinking, say what it is that you're feeling, even if you don't know how to communicate it effectively. Just say something, say a word,
mm,
make a noise. Like
mm,
sometimes when I'm coaching an actor and I'm like, what is your character feeling at this moment? And they don't know how to say it. I'm like, just make the noise. Whatever,
mm,
what noise is it? Huh. I can work with that, right? That means that seems like that's what you're feeling, right?
mm,
I think the problem is most people might not know how to say what's going on, but they don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to perfectly articulate it. You just have to express in some sense, be it, you know, dance, music, performance, or just strange grunts. But do it to someone who will listen. Grunt to someone who
mm,
will listen to you,
mm.
because
Grunt
people.
to
I think people
someone who
want to
will
help.
listen.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think people
that's a
want to help.
quote.
Yeah,
Grunt to someone who will listen is a quote.
there you go.
Well, I usually ask, here lately, I've been asking, what's next? What are you doing? But we know what you're currently doing.
Yeah,
But
out
do you
here.
have anything else that you're brewing or working on?
Excited to get back to LA to work on this thing that Brooks and myself and our producing partner, Eugene Stokes, and yourself are part of. Excited to get back and jump back into that. Um, what is it? This new series called shit. Nope. There's another show I did coming out
Oh
in
God,
March.
great.
I'll
We'll just search your name.
just
What
yeah.
shows are Philip Smithy
There's
in? And
another
then
thing
we'll
coming
find
out
it.
soon that's going to be very fun to watch. Um, that's happening. This will wrap, and then this show should be out in the summer, late summer.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully we just all keep it going. I that's it. Just gonna
Awesome.
keep moving. Something else.
Keep moving. Keep it a moving. Keep it going.
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
what's this business going?
I knew an accent was going to come out.
Yes.
Well, thank you so, so, so very much. I really appreciate this. I didn't think I was going to laugh throughout the whole interview. I think
That's
this is
fun.
the interview that I have not been able to stay on track on because I was
Really?
laughing. Yes,
Oh, oops. Yeah.
it's all
My
your fault.
on set the crew is starting to call me Random Man because I always have something completely off topic and random to talk about. So I apologize for that. That's a little bit of, yeah, it's my energy,
No,
I guess.
it was great. It was absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much. We had quite a few people dropping in. We had a few
Yeah.
stay throughout the whole thing. So I really appreciate everyone for joining. I hope you got something wonderful. Yes, Taryn is laughing. Yes, because
She knows she
this,
was there. She knows what I'm
yeah.
talking about. Shout out to Taryn.
Oh,
Taryn is playing the incredible Jackie. You guys are gonna love seeing her. She's coming up in season 2.
oh, nice. Okay, Taryn. I'm always trying to connect with people, so don't be surprised if I jump in your DM, Taryn.
Yeah, Taryn. She's sliding in your DMs.
Sliding in. All
That's
right.
right.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I didn't realize, I guess I wasn't thinking about you being in Atlanta. So this is definitely Saturday morning and afternoon, truly. So thank
It
you
is.
for taking your afternoon with me, a little bit of your afternoon with Thrive. And I will see you back in LA.
All right, sounds good.
All
Love you
right.
guys. See you soon.
All right. Thanks.